To our next speaker, who for me needs no introduction, but to the rest of you may do, and that is Peter Kendall. He's President of the National Farmers Union of the United Kingdom. He's also a practical farmer himself, so he he's going to outline for us the types of forms he has to fill out, and generally his views on cross-compliance and the views of the farmers from the UK. So over to you, Peter. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman, and the committee for inviting me to speak today. I am, as you said in your introduction, as well as being the President of the National Farmers Union of England and Wales, I also am a practical farmer. I was delighted over the weekend to experience some rain, so my crops now look much more healthy than they were before. And despite the previous speaker's comment about the problem in getting payments out, I think it was an allusion to the problems we've had in England, I've actually received my money as well. So I am genuinely a happy farmer, as well as pleased to be here talking to you today. The nature of our business at the National Farmers Union is that we do have a very close contact with our farmers. So I think we are very well placed to present to you today some of the problems and concerns our farmers have and the fear they live under with some of the cross-compliance. I think it's important to stress that I don't want to stand as somebody who has been against the reform of CAP or cross-compliance. The National Farmers Union has always been one of the most progressive, I think, of the farming organisations within the EU, as acknowledging the need to demonstrate responsibility and show justification for receiving our payments. We've been very keen to lead on that. In my short statement today, I want to draw to your attention some of the key concerns about cross-compliance. And in doing so, I want to comment on the Commission's report to Council and your own recommendations. In making these remarks, I would like to draw the Committee's attention to a report we've submitted as an organisation, and we submitted to the European Commission last autumn. I'll make sure all of the committee have a copy of that report. I've brought copies here, and anyone else can access them, please, through our office in Brussels. Everyone, I'm sure absolutely everyone involved in European agriculture, is aware of the concern and the threat that cross-compliance breaches hang over farm businesses and farmers, often in remote areas and operating on their own. This, we believe, is a far cry from the original intention that cross-compliance should be consistent with encouraging good farming practice and that land should be in good condition. I think it's important that I start by welcoming the Commission's long-anticipated report on cross-compliance. It does pick up on many of the aspects that we have also raised. I'll go through them. Effective communication with farmers, the ability of Member States to define meaningful standards, the approach to compliance and warning letters, which I think is also important, proportionality of penalties, and the role of on-farm certification where farmers already have certification processes on their farm. All these acknowledgements by the Commission are welcome. However, we believe the report is long on analysis and short on critical detail, particularly how and when these changes will occur. Farmers need and expect action to tame this fear, and I'm not being too light on that, the fear they live under with the threat of cross-compliance breaches. So my points I want to make are threefold. First, the point of timetable. I think we acknowledge the need for action. The Commission acknowledges that change, and to ensure cross-compliant is proportionate, the light touch, and we want it done as soon as possible. The problems, I think everyone acknowledges, are quite clear, and the solutions are quite obvious as well. I want to encourage the Commission to act now. Set a timetable that is ambitious so farmers can see that change happening sooner rather than later. My second message is that of equality. We understand that cross-compliance will be implemented in similar ways across the European Union. The fact that interpretation of good agricultural and environmental condition appears very different in content, and most importantly, the impact on cost across the EU, I think, is a warning signal. Competitive disadvantage results, and it is a significant step away from what was perceived to be a common agricultural policy. So in England, we have 17 good agricultural and environmental standards, 18 statutory management requirements. You can imagine my life at home on the farm is a busy one, going through all these different forms. I've brought for you today a stack of the booklets. These are just the forms I have to fill in for cross-compliance. These are the books and my reference books. They run to 6 books, 266 pages. I am a large farm in East Anglia. I have some help in my office. Can you imagine what that lot does to some of my farmers when they open their post and try and check whether they're meeting the correct obligations? We face over 4,000 inspections in England alone this year. I even have the local authorities coming to check whether footpaths, walkways across fields are open and not incumbent by growing crop. This appears to us to be bureaucracy gone mad. Far from being a simplification, this can create an administrative nightmare for farmers and growers. And what I think is important is distracting us from our business of running farms and growing food and looking after the environment. One part of the reason why a number of cross-compliance conditions and inspections are so numerous is I believe there is real uncertainty about the Commission's position. We live in England under the threat, and perhaps it's sometimes our own fault, the threat of infraction. Many farmers believe that Member States are taking the precautionary approach. Certainly that is the experience we have in England and Wales. Precaution results in a more detailed and prescriptive standards, detailed and lengthy visits and inspections, a reluctance to use warning letters, allowing farmers time to repair any technical breach that might have been found. In short, caution amongst the administrators and uncertainty about the purpose of cross-compliance results in a complication and not the simplification of the CAP that we thought we intended to set out to achieve. My third comment follows on from this, and it is clarity of purpose. If the intention of cross-compliance is to improve understanding and compliance with EU and domestic rules and regulation, it must surely therefore be logical that when a breach is found, farmers and growers have the opportunity to repair or restore that breach. Crudely, is the purpose to catch and punish, or is it to promote the understanding and therefore good practice? Ideally, I would like to see a situation where farmers receive a debrief when the inspector has completed his inspection on the farm, with a specified period of rectification. The Commission proposes a 3-month for a formal control report to be produced. Highly ideal, but an improvement on the current open-ended situation. We'd also like to see prior notification of inspections, so that people who have labour shortages might want to require help coming in, moving livestock to a single location, so that can be arranged. I'd like to finish my statement by raising 2 further issues that I think can apply on the back of the 3 previous points I've made. They are proportionality and the use of farm certification. In respect of proportionality of sanction, it is disproportionate on larger holdings. Minor, often rectifiable breaches, such as failing to maintain a 2-metre margin, this is one of our good agricultural and environmental conditions, failing to maintain a 2-metre margin against the boundary of every metre, when we had one farm that had 1,000 kilometres of hedgerow, would result in a very significant fine. This is a large cooperative agricultural business. The same breach on a smaller holding would be of little consequence.